Let's just jump into game and let's start talking about Neeb versus Snute. That's kind of funny. We had a picture of Neeb, we didn't have a picture of Snute. If anything, you'd expect it to be the other way around.
I know. Snute.
Snute, a very successful European Zerg. He's been spending a lot of time in Korea. That's why back then he preferred to play in WCS North America. Because, you know, playing from Seoul on the North American server, not all that bad. Playing from Seoul on the European server, gets pretty rough.
Snute is such a funny guy.
He's such a nice guy, above all.
Last Red Bull event, I think it was in Orlando, if I'm recalling correctly. It was, right?
Yes.
So
You were there, Ben, not me, but
yeah. So, so last Red Bull event,
which I still don't get, by the way.
I'm talking to Snute, and he is so sad and just so like not feeling. He's like, man, I don't think I'm good at this game. I'm gonna retire. This is no good for me. This is no good for me. And everyone's like, Snute, what are you talking about? You've had all these recent great successes. You did great at Home Story Cup. You're a really good player. You're one of the winningest non-Koreans in the world. I was like, no, I'm just terrible. I'm just so bad. And then he wins Red Bull Orlando. And after that, he wasn't quite as sad.
That was such a good finals, by the way. It was like up 3-1 against Huck, then it went 3-3. Then Hotbit reversed his own curse on Twitter and still won. That was a great weekend. Great weekend for StarCraft, great final. Of course, allows us to talk a little bit about the upcoming Red Bull event as well. Like, there isn't enough StarCraft yet in North America, but well, apparently there's not, but, you know. Tell us about it, Ben.
There is more Red Bull on the horizon. I don't know how much Red Bull has publicly talked about it, though, so I'm afraid.
Right. I mean, we are promoting it all the time on our own broadcast. It's a late weekend in November, I think 23rd, 24th. It's a $50,000 tournament in the Hammerstein Ballroom. That's what I saw today on the flyer.
Roddy is all over it.
Yes,
okay.
And I'm not even going.
You the man, Roddy. You the man.
All right, anyway, we should talk a little bit about Neeb as well, as Neeb is a fantastic Terran player who went to Premier League twice already. Snute back then wrote a blog, by the way, about how sad he was about not coming back to WCS Premier League, because he finished third in his Challenger League group stage, which means that, you know, you're staying in Challenger League, you're not going back to Premier. We did see Neeb this season in Premier League, but it was a pretty short appearance. He lost 0-2 against Jim. Then he did play a lot better against Hart, the Korean Terran player. Unfortunately for Neeb, he was not able to pull through, and he lost that one 2-1 as well.
Right now we've got a Reaper opening here for Neeb. He's just going to get a little scout of Snute, who's gone hatch gas spawning pool, very standard Zerg opening these days. Third base often not coming until 6 minutes and 30 seconds or so once that Zergling speed is actually out on the map.
What's better than Reaper Expand, Ben?
What's better than Reaper Expand?
Yeah.
Nothing.
2 Reapers.
Oh my gosh!
I thought you would go with that.
You're right. I didn't even realize it because I wasn't looking at the units tab. It is double Reaper into Expand. And, well, now I think Snute's in quite a bit of trouble, Kev.
Snute hasn't scouted anything yet. I guess he's not too worried.
Where
he probably
is that
just
second Reaper?
It's chilling at the ramp.
Hanging back at home?
Yep. Sitting on the
He's
ramp.
not going to get much done back there. He can't shoot Overlords.
Would be pretty cool if they can.
Would you launch their jetpack like, up in the air a little bit?
And just hang on one of his feet, and then just like start shooting
like
this
stand
thing.
on top of that rock right there. Like, you see that little pointy rock right here in the corner? If he could stand on top of that, he could take out the Overlord.
Oh, he can jump on a lot of things. I think we should take a look at this Reaper as well, who's still working on a couple of links. He picked up one single Zergling so far. Snute just using his queen to usher that Reaper away for now.
Neeb's gotten a good scout, though. He knows exactly what he's playing against. Now we see the reactor beginning to produce, the reactor factory beginning to produce Hellions.
Pretty early Roach Warren for Snute. Could still definitely be a defensive Roach Warren, though. It's 6 minutes. He's getting Overlord speed now as well. I think as soon as he sees that third command center, I think he's just going to turn it into a macro game.
Maybe, but he's getting those extra Overlords.
But he's only on one extractor.
He's right around that 35 drone count. You're right, but you only need one extractor
he has
for
a lot of
big
gas.
Roach attack.
Actually, you're right. He has a crazy amount of gas. He didn't stop mining gas.
Well, actually, no. With the Overlord speed, he has much less.
Yeah,
so
I was like, he might 300 gas. He just got speed. Where did the rest go?
Yeah. So the Overlord speed means that he's not going to be getting crazy aggressive, but he's going to make those 4 roaches, like you said, to have some defensive abilities. And there comes more drones. We'll see him taking a third base right behind this.
It would actually be very nice for Snute if this drone is able to make it there and get more of himself into a hatchery, and he will. You know, those are the small victories. These Reapers and those Hellions could have been denying that drone. It could have all been delayed for a little bit. Oh, Snute, you're going to have to bring out some units to keep the hatchery alive. This is going to get interesting.
This is actually dangerous for Neeb. He's got these units trapped. This is all his map control. Fortunately, this only a small handful of roaches so they don't one-shot Hellions.
One Reaper falls. That's it. Do you think he could have taken it if he would have just gone all out? And
No, I don't think so. That hatchery, Hellions do so little damage to hatcheries.
yeah, it is, but you know, the more Hellions you have, it's surprising. Like you always think like, they don't do a lot of damage. Then you have 2 Reapers and 4 Hellions.
And then you're like, man, they're doing so much damage.
Yeah. So you're like, that's quite a bit of
I'm
damage.
very familiar with that feeling. There's that Overlord Speed Scout paying off for Snute. Sees what's going on in the main base. Sees that the Widow Mines are out, so aggression's going to be very difficult. It's been a pretty good early game for Snute. He's up to 48 drones against 38 SCVs, and he's still adding to his economy and even taking a 4th base. Wow, super fast 4th expand.
Oh, Snute wrote a guide about this map. Have you seen it? How to deny Terran's 6th base.
With massive creep spread.
Yeah, that's so cool. I just love like how he's thinking. You know, in the old days we used to think like, how to do a proper 4-gate, or you know, the good 2-base all in, and then you had the crazy 3-base all in, and then Snute just comes out while one Widow Mine does connect with a roach over there. It's like how to deny a Terran's 5th, or it was 6th base. I think it was this base, right?
This is great scouting from Neeb if he spots that. I don't know if he's going to go up that ramp or not. These speed overlords are so good for Snute. This is a very liquid Zerg thing to do. TLO is also a big fan of getting the vast overlord speed because it gives such vision. And once layer's done, it allows you to deny a lot of expansions with that creep.
And you're putting a scary thought in your opponent's mind, which is also very important. Of course, it's not always about what we see. If you're Neeb right now, you're kind of worried, like, you know, that's really quick overlord speed, probably just to scout. But what if he suddenly starts dropping a ridiculous amount of roaches in my main base?
Yep. And you can do things like take 8 empty overlords and fly it over the base, and that's going to force some kind of a reaction because you cannot just let 8 potential drops unload in your main base. You have to send some units back to deal with it. So it's just a powerful tool.
Again. This mine is MVP mine.
It's a tool that becomes much more powerful the better you are at the game. Like, because you know, if you're in Bronze League, you're going to see 8 overlords. You're going to be like, oh, look, it's 8 overlords. But
it's small. It's kind of like poker, you know, how some things work against bad players like me, and then there are good things that I don't even notice because I'm not very good at poker.
But when you win the hand, you're like, man, I'm so good.
Yep. Just give me good hands, and I'll be really good. Second drone is going to fall as well. At the end of the day, Neeb has to be a little bit careful though, because quite a few speedlings are going to try to chase these Hellions away. But his third commander is already on his place as well. Sure, Snute is playing a fantastic economic opening, but the same can be said for Neeb. Okay, losing these Hellions I think was a little unnecessary.
Very dangerous for Neeb. It loses all of his vision. And now at this point, he's got a pretty respectable army. It's not something Snute can just A-move into. But the Hellions did represent all of his map control and all of his vision, all of his scouting. Now he's going to have to just rely on scans and eventually attacking. I think his first 2 medevacs aren't even out yet. Yeah, he's just building the first ones now. So it's 11 minutes, 30 seconds into the game, and Snute is on an uncontested 4 bases. That's pretty ridiculous, Kev.
It really is. But Neeb kind of put himself in this position as well with the way that he opened. He'll just be like, you know what, I'm going to get a strong economy for myself, and from that point on, I'm going to have to make something happen. He knows that. Sure, this opening was really fantastic, but it's not like Snute tried to do anything against it. Snute's just like, okay, you can go ahead with your economic opening, because if you let me do what I want, I'm even going to be in a better position. Now, at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to engagements. We can see 2-2 is starting for either player, so upgrade-wise, it's very even too. And yeah, Neeb is going to have to be very careful with his units, that's above all. He's not in a position where he can just throw away units. He can do it for a little bit, but we know how good Snute is in denying forward, but especially 5th bases.
He's got great creep spread already, moving into the center of the map. I'm a little surprised that he hasn't started spreading creep from his 4th base. Now he's going to drop a tumor.
You know, the way that Neeb is playing this TVZ right now is how most of my PVZs goes, where I'm just like, I'm sitting on my 3 bases, and actually, you know, you kind of feel like I haven't done too much wrong, but you also know you haven't really done a whole lot right.
Yeah.
And you're so in the dark, and you just don't really know what's going on.
Got a drop head into the main base and a small attack up at the top of the map. Spine crawlers will deal with that initial attack, and man, Snute is so on top of it, spots the drop, and this medevac is not long to this world because there are 15 mutas hatching. 15
mutalisks on the way already. It's a good day to be Snute right now. Before this game started, we were a little bit worried about where Neeb was, and we said like, alright, we might have to start the disconnect time or the disqualified timer. So he's gonna have 10 minutes to show up for the first map, and then an additional 5 minutes to show up for the second map in this best of 3. And Snute just made a sad face. He's like, I really want to play CVT. As you know, Snute truly loves StarCraft as well. He's not playing it for, you know, whatever other reason than the fact that he just really loves this game. And now I can kind of understand why he wants to play CVT, man, because so far
it's been a great
this
game.
Looks rock solid.
It's been an absolutely great game. I do think that Neeb has been a little bit overly passive. To let Snute take an 8-minute fourth base and then to saturate that fourth base with no pressure at all was certainly a small mistake. And it's,
like, don't you think that Neeb already decides to put himself in that position the moment he drops that third command center so early? From that point on, you can't really go back anymore.
it's hard to say. There are
Like, either you open 2 base and then with a much later third, or you go for those really quick 3 command centers. Snute with his early overload speed just allows him to make those good reads, because he scouted everything so early on. With that first overload, the second overload died at the ramp, but that first overload alone scouted so much already that Snute could, he just said, alright, if you're doing this, I know what I can get away with.
But at the same time, we know of Terran players like Pulp, for instance, who manage to be very greedy, and at the same time,
yeah, but Pulp opens 2 command center into production and then a third one. It's just a different build.
yeah, that's true.
We have a lot going on right now. Neeb is moving out with still very, very strong army. This is 50 minutes and 40 seconds, and that's a terrifying Terran army. Snoot's gonna have to be careful with how he wants to engage this. This is not the right fight for his Mutalisks to take. Lost a bunch of them over there.
He does lose some for free, but this is still a dangerous spot for Neeb. He's not really got a retreat option. There are, oh man, Banelings are gonna bust the front, and here comes nothing. They're just gonna bust the front and then just park the Banelings there. Now the Lings are gonna stream in, all 3 of them.
Oh my god. Well, actually, these 2 remaining Banelings. Massive connections, man.
That was the most ridiculous counterattack I've ever seen.
But he's setting himself up for more. Neeb still no signs of a 4th base behind this. 4th command center going down right now as I say it. But of course, it's going to be hard for him to actually secure it. But this is still a massive Terran army, man.
Yes, it is. Widow Mine's not getting the best connections, but also keeping those siege tanks nice and safe. And that means that Neeb is able to maintain this presence. We've talked about this before, Kevin. When are Terrans going to start combining mines and tanks? It looks like the answer is today.
But, there's not too much endurance in this anymore. A lot of reinforcements streaming in, and this is all good. But Snute is so safe here with all his spine crawlers. There are not enough tanks to put a crazy amount of pressure on all these spines, and he is still on 3 bases. He's sending a couple of Marines right now to push out this Overlord, which I like a lot, because he's getting ahead of the situation. His command center isn't ready yet, but it will be soon. But he cannot be mining the way that he's doing right now for too much longer.
That is a scary Widow Mine, but it does not key up on those mutas, and Snute's actually going to manage to pick it off before it ever shoots. Again, 190 supply.
Army supply. Neeb is so far ahead right now.
And 170 for Snute. Actually, I'm super surprised. And if we look at resources lost, we can see why that is. Snute has not been very cost effective this game.
Well, he lost a lot of mutas, and he made a few attacks at the natural, which he didn't really have to. But above all, if he keeps his base alive, he's doing a great job.
He's also taking his 6th base right now, Kevin, but Neeb's continuing to press the aggression. Spinecrawler's starting to melt away, although he's getting out of range of his siege tanks, and that's going to allow Snute to deal a little bit of counter pressure back. And now with the Marines all dying, Snute can take out the siege tanks, and that is all that he needs to buy himself lots of room to reestablish
64
his base.
Zerglings on the way now as well. If he would stream in right now with all of those links, medevac count is, I want to say dwindling, but a lot of reinforcements coming in. A lot of stims actually. There might be 1 stim too many, and I think he's going to lose a lot of Marines over here.
Well done, Snute. Finally makes that last stand and will clean up the last of these Marines and might even be able to chase down some medevacs. Neeb is still reinforcing very aggressively, but I'm wondering if he's able to get away with this.
Poor Overseer. Collateral damage, man.
One more Widow Mine might kill
a medevacs as well. But Snute does finally hold, and that was a fantastic hold. It wasn't easy. He really had to be on top of his injects, but even when he was on the crazy pressure, you'd still see 20, 30, 40. At the final moment, even 62 Zerglings on the way. And right now, Ben, those 3-3 upgrades are going to finish up. The first Ultralisk are on the way. But, above all, Neeb did take care of that Overlord, and he is securing a 4th base, and it wasn't really looking like that.
He has an army advantage, 101 army supply to 80. Now, this is not...
It's 3-3 as well.
This is a well-upgraded, scary army, and Snute's going to need to continue to find good angles to engage from it. It is tough when he's being forced to defend like this. The Ultras should change things a little.
He doesn't have too many Lings or Banelings right now. Like, Neeb wants to be careful, of course. He doesn't want to run into a lot of Banelings, but if he pushes the issue, which he is doing, I actually think he's making the correct decision. Because right now, Snute is on his weakest moment.
Man, Neeb realizing that now is his chance to deal critical damage to Snute, and he has killed all the spines, he's killed all the Banelings, only Mutas remain, and Mutas can't really engage that Snute. Where's that first Ultra? And more importantly, where's it going to hatch from? Here he is, he's in the mix, and that's going to allow Snute to push back. That is a painful Widow Mine detonation.
On pretty much everything. All of these medevacs are running super low on HP as well. The Ultra taking a lot of damage, will finally fall, but not before so many of these Marines are low on HP. Mutalisk are able to pick up 3, 4, 5 medevacs if they really want to. Doesn't really matter.
Snoot's going to clean it all up. Great defense by Snute. Once
Fantastic.
again, it was looking pretty dangerous at times, but now he's up 150 supply against 130, and finally he can start thinking about applying some counter pressure on Neeb. Neeb has mined out his main and his natural. His third is very thin. The fourth is the last place that he has money, Kevin, so he's got to start thinking about a fifth very soon.
And that's all going to come down to Snoot's guide.
Yeah, that's right. Snute is tabbing out to Team Liquid right now saying, all right, what did I say about this situation exactly?
I've been here before and I know what to do. His creep shot is not as sick as it was in his guide though.
Neeb's done a good job of keeping Snute busy. It's not that he's been actively denying creep, but he's been attacking constantly, and it's hard to find the extra actions per minute.
And he's still attacking. Army supply, it's so even, and then you know as a Zerg, it doesn't necessarily mean trouble. It also means that you cannot take one bad engagement, because the moment Snute makes one mistake with his banelings, he's going to lose his base, and with that, most likely the game.
A little bit of fungal growth wouldn't hurt here. It works great in conjunction with the Ultras. Right now, the army of Neeb does so much damage. Look how fast these Ultras die. And it's not even that many Marauders. It's just well-upgraded Marines. Snoot still with enough units that he's able to chase this back.
Well, Snute has played so good this game.
He really has.
And so does Neeb, in my opinion.
Big Widow Mine detonation. And the supplies are starting to reflect that Snoot's pulling further and further ahead. In fact, Neeb might be on his last leg here as we see these Ultras pushing all the way forward into the natural expansion now. And he's just he's being forced to defend with units as they pop out of his barracks. Big baneling hits continue to whittle away at Neeb's forces. He's going to dip below 100 supply here for the first time in quite a while. 150 supply remaining for Snute. It looks like our Norwegian Zerg has done it.
The gates are closing and Neeb is going to try to make a final stand over here, but he has more Marauders than Marines there, and he had to deal with a few Mutalisks, so that's kind of annoying. But above all, Snoot's macro is just being fantastic, considering the fact that he was under so much pressure, and even right now he's still keeping his money so low.
Right clicks on a command center, but I don't think that was the right choice necessarily.
Banelings or Zerglings?
Zerglings.
It's okay.
That'll just be repaired back to full. Snoot's still at 170 supply against 120. Neeb stayed alive though, Kevin, and he didn't take any damage in his fourth base, which is really the only spot that he's mining anything. Got a little bit of money left in his third.
Oh, Neeb's just going to try to take this base very, very close to Snute. I actually think that's pretty smart.
Snoot's not going to expect it, but unfortunately all of his units are coming from that spot, so he will spot it.
But if he gets time to make a planetary there, planetary with 4 missile turrets around it, then we have a whole different ballgame.
Well, if he's going to do it, he better start soon. He doesn't have a whole lot of money.
That would be so sick. Ah, no, little Zergling. Ah. Okay, now he knows. Now Snoot's like, hey, what are you doing in my backyard?
That's my 6th base.
Yes. You are supposed to expand in the left bottom side of this map right now. Planetary is going down. There are no missile turrets yet. How many meters do we have? Ooh, 22. Sweet Jesus.
Yeah, a very scary mutaball.
Muta. Sok is actually on meta.
Mutiling Bane Ultralisk out right now. 3-3 bio, very strong against just anything. Ultra's dying incredibly quickly, but the swarm is coming, Kev. Zerglings and Mutas and Banelings, oh my! Neeb's going to be backed into a corner, and it might be the death of him, as a lot of these Banelings are going to be able to connect. The Mutas can turn around and deal with that planetary.
Planetary was up, but not...
Why not everything else while we're at it?
But not for a very long time. Banelings connecting with the few remaining SCVs as well. What an entertaining CVT this has been from both sides. It started off a little slow, very focused on economy. But then when Neeb started fresh, he never really stopped up to the 26-minute mark. This was like from the 15-minute point till 26, 11 minutes of non-stop fighting. Must be really fun to play a game like that and then come ahead or come out winning. You know, those are the best wins.
Snoot's maxed out, Kev. Neeb down to just 105 supply. The final attack of Snute is looming. He's going to morph a bunch of Banelings first. Send the Ultras down for the whole flank. 3-3 bio is so strong. So ridiculously strong. The Widow Mine takes out a lot of Zerglings, and unbelievably, it looks like Neeb's going to hold this off for now.
Just for a little bit, but the next wave is already coming. The swarm is coming. I mean, Snoot's really playing this like a campaign Zerg. Like a promo video.
Where is his Kerrigan hero? Because I don't understand how he's getting all these units without her.
That's good to know.
Resources lost show us that Snute has still been less cost effective, but as we know, he's been way ahead economically.
Bad PC model, man. You can see 2 Widow Mines on the way now for Neeb as well. And you know, when you're just making 2 Widow Mines in the 28-minute mark, that's not because you really want 2 Widow Mines, man. That's hard because it's a lot, because you don't really have money to produce anything else. A couple of Marauders and Marines are on the way as well, but it's just not the same production that Neeb was pushing out earlier this game when he's mining over 2,000 minerals a minute. His turret is pretty much empty, and I guess he's been dropping a crazy amount of mules on his fort base, that even his fort is going to be empty soon. Actually, how is he able to have 118 army supply right now? That's
pretty impressive. His
Wow.
worker count's only 41, so that does make the supply counts a little bit deceptive. Still, though, the biggest problem for Neeb is his inability to secure another base. I don't know that he had a GG there.
yeah, a little bit sad, because when you have 198 army